Conflict is an unfortunate but all too familiar part of man's evolutionary process. The history of our world is littered with the records of war between nations, between groups, and between individuals. To look at our past, one would conclude that aggression is as necessary to man's survival as food and drink. Even in times of peace, the need for conflict was recognized in antiquity. The games held in the shadow of Mount Olympus millennia ago were just as much a substitute for warfare as the modern Olympic Games are. Man needs the stimulation of training for and waging war. It is our nature. Advanced societies like that of ancient China took the science of warfare to new heights. The writings of Sun Tzu and other Chinese generals changed warfare completely. Their development of advanced military strategy permitted rapid and decisive victories while minimizing losses of men and materiel. What had once been a spontaneous and chaotic clash of wills, staged amidst the confusion and carnage of the battlefield, became a sophisticated game that often began in the minds of rival generals many months or even years before an arrow was loosed or a sword drawn. A deadly game that would be played in all its stark reality by a distinct warrior class, highly trained and dedicated to the art of war. The game of chess is a legacy of the ancient Chinese military culture. Every element that occurs in conflict is present. Antagonists face each other across a battlefield of squares. Each side is fully prepared to do battle. Each strives to develop a strategy that will ensure victory. The enemy is tested by skirmishes, a weakness detected, a strategy resolved, and the enemy attacked and defeated. Life and karate are like chess. Those who work hard and study invariably prevail. Those who are unprepared and untutored frequently fail. What follows is an intensive course in an important aspect of karate, the mastery of which will assure you victory. This is part 2 in the Winning series of instructional videotapes by national coaches Yukiyoshi Marutani and Hideharu Igaki. A sound knowledge of the material contained in part 1 of this multi-part work, stretching, repetition training, combination techniques, etc., will help the viewer derive the maximum benefit from this segment. A strong stance is very important. Keep your spine straight with your hips forward and lower your center of gravity at the navel. Lower your shoulders and relax your joints while keeping your mind completely alert and your eyes focused somewhere between your opponent's eyes and his shoulders. With the right leg forward, the left hand seems to push the opponent. This stance can be used to get in close. With the left leg to the front and the weight well distributed, you should be capable of easy movement in any direction. Exercise control over your opponent by means of your posture. Push your opponent mentally and physically. When facing a larger opponent, keep your back straight and press him mentally and physically, never thinking of retreat. This is the typical posture of a small fighter facing a larger opponent, in which the smaller of the two lacks the ability to mentally or physically influence his opponent. Take care to control the distance between you and your opponent. However, do not move back too far, otherwise you will not be able to hit him. Slide to the side when you block your opponent's attack, as this will dissipate much of his energy. In slow motion, the distinct movement that helps absorb the power of the attack can be clearly seen. Standing in a left stance, protect yourself against jabs with the right hand. Use the step-in punch to cover a large distance. Utilize the whole body, the ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, elbows and hands. Body movement must be relaxed, efficient, economical and speedy. The linear power of the back leg must be united with the rotational power of the hips and allowed to flow through joints that are relaxed. Body movement should be sharp and exhibit well-developed focus. At the moment of impact, the trapezius muscles are tightened briefly. Body coordination clearly plays an important part in defense as well. Keeping your body straight but relaxed, rotate the body with the knees and hips to avoid the opponent's attack. Move the hips first, not the shoulders. By sen no sen, we mean to attack the enemy first, that is, before he can attack us. However, that is not simply a wild and uncontrolled attack, but a determined assault using almost all of one's mental and physical power. Hold back only enough force until the very last instant to deal with the counterattack in case one is made. Your attack must be a concerted effort of both mind and body that is carried through to the successful conclusion, the defeat of the enemy. Any weakness or uncertainty on your part may lead to a counterattack and your own defeat. The attacker creates an opening in his opponent's defense by rapidly switching legs before kicking him. Make your opponent respond to your initial attack. As he responds, counterattack with a reverse punch. Try to keep your body at the same height so as to be able to keep the same distance from or get closer to your opponent. Once you start your attack, don't stop until you drive your opponent from the arena. Protect yourself with the right hand, then sweep your opponent's legs as you strike him. Using your front leg to sweep your opponent means less chance of him counterattacking successfully. Strike at his face, then sweep and punch while his attention is diverted. Feint to prevent a counterattack, then sweep as your opponent moves back or loses his balance. Divert your opponent's attention by attacking his upper body, then sweep him as your attack continues. Concentrate your opponent's attentions on the attack with your left leg, then sweep him with your right while he is distracted. To be able to control your opponent enough to throw him, you must keep close and synchronize your body movement with his. Gono-sen involves the ability to make an opponent attack first, then attacking him as he does so. This may involve a feint to unsettle him, or the projection of sufficient mental power to make him feel that he must attack you in that precise moment, or he will lose. Mastery of the concept of Gono-sen allows you in effect to control your opponent's will. By doing so, you can attack him in the instant he thinks of attacking you and easily defeat him. Keep your body upright and don't move until your opponent actually attacks. Avoid the power of your opponent's attack by moving away from its point of focus. Closing the distance when your opponent attacks will take the power from his technique. Move out of the path of your opponent's attack. Use distance as a defense, but don't move back too much. By carefully positioning your body close to, but away from his point of focus, you can disrupt your opponent's attack. Moving to a position of strength allows you to take advantage of his moment of weakness to counter. By correct body positioning, you can subdue your opponent at his weakest moment, the instant following his attack. Shifting the body to avoid the attack, move straight in when the opponent tries to kick you. Keep your center of gravity low and use small movements when blocking. Moving the front leg straight in, avoid the punch by shifting the back leg. All of the movements must be performed together. Moving the blocking hand in a circular movement saves time and energy and facilitates a rapid counterattack. Taking care not to move before your opponent does, step forward with the front leg and to the side with the rear to avoid his attack. Draw your opponent in. Force him to reach out for you and then hit him as he tries to hit you. Shift away from your opponent's kick and as its power dissipates, attack. Keeping your weight on the front foot, draw your opponent in and hit him before his foot touches the floor. Keeping your elbows in, your body straight and your knees bent, avoid the attack, then retaliate. Keeping your blocking movements small, move a little from the point at which your opponent's attack is focused. Move slightly from the line of your opponent's attack and counter while he is unbalanced and vulnerable. Turn your body as you move straight in, turning your back leg after making contact to close with your opponent. Sway back to force your opponent to stretch, then counterattack. Adjust your distance by switching your legs after the block, then counterattack. Keep your blocking movements small and efficient so you can successfully stop multiple attacks. Do not move back too early. Pull your front leg back strongly as you draw your opponent in, trying to have your legs together at the moment you strike. Move your front leg back strongly to make your opponent stretch as you draw him in. Keep your weight on the front leg so you can easily counterattack. Keeping your weight on the front leg, pull back strongly and counter the penetrating attack with a back fist strike. Hit your opponent without hesitation as his first attack finishes and before his second begins. Practice offensive and defensive combinations so as to better appreciate which leg your weight should be on when you are fighting. Stay with your opponent, keeping your weight on the front leg so you can counter at the instant his attack finishes. Draw your opponent in, waiting until he is almost hitting you before retaliating. Use a small circular blocking motion so you can strike back with the same hand. You can draw your opponent in more easily if you block with the reverse hand. Throwing techniques can provide an effective and spectacular conclusion to a contest. However, to successfully throw an opponent, you must maintain complete control over him by keeping him as close to you as possible. Control of the opponent must be maintained, even after he has been thrown, so that he cannot kick you from the floor. Jiu Kumite, free sparring, in which both basic and advanced techniques are practiced, should be a routine part of training. Low grades should train with higher grades to learn distance, timing and correct body movement in a controlled and therefore safe environment. Juniors easily assimilate good habits from higher grades, and training is free of the overly competitive and often uncontrolled atmosphere that typifies competition between students of similar rank. During free fighting practice, you should try to use a variety of kicking and punching techniques that you are familiar with, as well as any new techniques you have just learned. Make the best use of the training time to study distance, body movement, timing, in fact, every element of free sparring. This type of training will help the student to improve themselves and also develop the aggression so necessary for competition success. Compare this contest with the last. Technique, excellent timing, and careful distancing are very apparent. Skill and strategy will determine the outcome, not luck or brute strength. The power, speed, and strategic skills of the combatants are tested by this type of training. The technique is polished and precise, with little energy being wasted. There is less obvious aggression than is exhibited by the younger fighters, but the techniques are very powerful, yet controlled. At first you should practice fighting very slowly and at a distance. This will help avoid clashes between the contestants which can cause injuries. Give yourself time to think about distancing, to see your opponent and to build your confidence. When you start to lose control of your speed, stop and start afresh. The skill of placing oneself on the thin line between the danger zone and safety is learned in this way. The ability to stay on this boundary is one that is shared by all successful counterattackers. When you are comfortable fighting at slow speed, you can speed things up a little and fight at a closer distance. Bear in mind that after an attack you must still keep moving. Your attack is not the end of the contest. You must block your opponent's attack when he retaliates. When the opportunity presents itself, practice fake attacks to make your opponent move and start to develop some sort of strategy for fighting. To prevail against an opponent, you must have confidence in your physical and mental powers, as well as in the quality of your technique. This comes only from good quality training over a long period. To win a tournament, you do not need to know hundreds of techniques. Just a few you can perform flawlessly under any set of circumstances. The regular practice of routine drills allows the body to memorize techniques thoroughly. Once this objective has been achieved, movement can be made instinctively and therefore without hesitation of any sort. Needless to say, the ability to move naturally and rapidly in response to an opponent is a key factor in both competition and combat success. You do this practice for 2 or 3 minutes without stopping. Sometimes you do the same techniques over and over again, at other times different techniques depending on the situation of your body after you turn round. Just keep attacking to create any situation in which you can use your techniques. For example, while off balance, when the opponent starts moving back, forward or to the side. The student who is acting as the target can learn Tai Sabaki during this practice, the ability to avoid attacks by means of small evasive body movements. Start with prearranged attacks that allow the student to develop his timing and then move on as you improve. After a while, you should be able to deal with unexpected attacks as well. Start slow to avoid injury and to allow confidence to build naturally. Kumite is a substitute for real combat, but it should not be regarded as such. The student must train for competition as if it was real conflict, if he is to bring himself to the peak of his ability. When you train, you should bear in mind that against an opponent of equal ability, better training and strategy will always bring victory. That even a stronger opponent can be overcome if you have trained hard and know how to think strategically, train to become a natural, powerful, flexible and intelligent fighter. Remember always that the time you spend in a good training hall is never wasted. The work you do will make your body strong and healthy, and your life will improve as a result. Training with companions will make them into friends. As your skill builds and you become more experienced, you will acquire the invaluable social skills of humility and patience. When these and your fighting ability is fully developed, conflict will seem futile and life but a game.